and gentlemen, welcome to the Institute of Marine Engineering, Science and Technology technical meeting. My name is Nikhil Libnani and I'm the Honorary Secretary of the Institute's UAE Branch. Joining me from the Institute is Mr. Sheikh Cabral, who is the Honorary Treasurer, as well as a volunteer, Fahad Hai. Fahad has been very kind to take care of the IMarEST TV. At the IMarEST TV, what we do is we take the video of the presentations, send it to our head office in London. They edit it and then upload it on our website where 23,000 members can see this presentation, which is basically a knowledge sharing session, experience for all our members all over the world. Okay, so 1st of Jan 2020, what's going on? The IMO has decided, as most of us know, that all marine fuels globally have to have a sulfur cap of 0.5%, except if these are fuels which are burnt in a sulfur emission control area, wherein it is a 0.1% sulfur cap already now for some time. Also, vessels equipped with a exhaust gas cleaning system will be permitted to continue to burn the 3.5% sulfur fuel. So the demand, as I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong in this figure, put out of Google.com, it's about 3.5 million barrels per day consumption of HFO for ships, give and take. That's the current demand. The question here is, will current capacities of refineries be able to actually meet up to this capacity, which will be required post 1 Jan 2020? We also have to figure out whether gas oil, marine gas oil as an alternative, is suitable for prolonged operation technically on a marine diesel engine. If not, the repercussions of the same. Is this marine gas oil commercially viable? Obviously, it's one thing saying yes, but it's hurting the pockets of every ship operator in the world. What type of a lube oil will be needed to complement this new fuel? And are scrubbers, or even switching to an alternate energy source, a better proposition for some vessels? So there are obviously a whole lot of questions. The questions are always easy. It's answering these questions that becomes a challenge. And who's going to answer these? I shall just introduce you to the first man who will answer this, called Sir Sulphur, who is the Global Marketing Director of Total Blue Marine. Now, Serge is a former seafarer, and he duly graduated from ENSM French Maritime Academy. After several years at sea as engineer and deck officer, he worked for CCC, CGM, and CNCM, and then he joined the Total Group in 1990. He occupied various positions in sales, marketing, and blending plant management. Serge is the head of Total Blue Marine's marketing department since 2011, and he lives in south of France and sails a laser. Given you are IMarEST UAE, Serge.
Kind introduction. Good afternoon, good evening, I should say, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Total IMarEST Sulphur Cap 2020 forum. We are delighted to be in Dubai, which is of course one of the major shipping hubs in the world and also a large hub for bunkering. And we know how, according to the latest news of today, how strategic and important is this area in the world for oil and derivative products trade and supply chain. So before we start the presentation and I say a few words about the agenda, I have a word on safety, which is something we all value very much in our daily operation, should it be at sea, of course, but also ashore, and especially in the supply chain. And at Total, we have classified all the dangers into 12 categories, that you should see here in my bag. And the question is that we have covered, of course, the safety instructions for the room, but the question here would have been which of these categories will apply for this today afternoon meeting. And of course, traffic is important. Some of you took your car, and we all know that how important it is also to safe driving. But here we are in a confined space, and this is why you have been given, of course, all the safety instructions. We are now 210 days to go before deadline IMO 2020, and we know this raises a lot of questions that has been already mentioned by Nigel. It's a lot of questions about fuels, about lubricants, and especially about fuel availability, for instance, fuel quality, food pricing as well, and also questions on lubricants. What is the best lubricating strategy to adopt? Total Group has some answers on these topics. Maybe not all answers. We don't want to claim we have all solutions, but we have some of them. We would be very happy to showcase to you this afternoon. And our experts from shipping, from refining, from trading, from bunker products, and from marine lubricants have prepared the presentations that will follow this afternoon, talking about, of course, the regulation landscape, just to be sure we are all on the same page. A few words on how Total positions itself as a supplier of the industry, but also as a customer, and then going in depth into the topics of the 0.5 sulfur fuel, the 3.5 sulfur fuel along with scrubbers, a very promising future fuels that is already starting to be implemented is the LNG, of course, and then we will go to the lubricant side of the thing, and then to see what type of strategy you can adopt. But this is not a one-way communication process. We expect a lively session of Q&A, so do not hesitate to prepare your questions all along the presentation, and then we keep all the questions at the end, as mentioned by Nigel. So I wish you a very fruitful and useful event. We do hope it will help you to finalize and to achieve your compliance strategy. And Nigel will right now introduce our first speaker talking about the regulatory landscape. Thank you very much and enjoy.
The first keynote speaker of the day is going to be David Pagetta. He's the Commercial Director for Total Lube Marine. David is responsible for the commercial and logistical aspects of servicing Total's marine lubricants business in Southern Europe, Middle East, India and Africa to its shipping and power generation customers. David's 21-year tenure with Total started at Total Lubricants in 1998. He spent 3 years at Total Trinidad and Tobago as Managing Director and Regional Specialties Manager for the Caribbean between 2003 and 2006, before returning to Paris to take up regional sales and subsequently international sales manager roles between 2006 and 2012. Before taking up his current role, David spent 3 years as Managing Director of Total Petroleum Hong Kong with a specific focus on jet fuels. David holds a degree in chemistry from the Institut National des Sciences Appliquées de Rouen, in addition to a master's from the École du Pétrole et des Moteurs in application of petroleum products. David's going to talk about the regulatory landscape. So, bienvenue à Dubai, Monsieur Pivetta.
I will continue introducing the topic. So, basically, what I will say, you all know, but it's important, let's say, to re-summarize before we go into the details. The first aspect, and that was said by one of the VP of MSC, is that there has never been such a moment in the entire history of the shipping industry. As you see my resume, I'm not here for, let's say, a long time in the marine industry. I would say it's almost 4 years. But I think that you will agree with this, let's say, critical time we are entering. We enter and this is something that is quite unique. So we are living a difficult time, challenging, where there will be a lot of opportunities, and we are here with you to face those challenges. So there were already, of course, the ballast water treatment. We are also looking forward to have also some guidelines legislation regarding CO2 coming. We already have some, let's say, some discussions about it. But currently, we are talking about the MARPOL legislation regarding the global cap. So it includes everyone. We are talking about all the fleet. Nobody is escaping from this legislation. So 99% of the fleet. It's something that was confirmed quite recent. We are talking about end of 2016. And for sure, the industry, and we were raising a very good question regarding how the industry will face and are we ready, how it will be for lubricants. I'm part of the lubricants. Of course, it requires also a lot of time to design and to produce the newest lubricant. So also for us, it was also a challenge. Now you have the choice of the different, let's say, fuels. The distillate, the compliant fuel, the VLSFO, the HSFO, and the LNG that we will talk. But in any case, we will escape from this legislation. Regarding, let's say, the change, well, no change regarding the ECA zone. We are still, let's say, with the 0.1 sulfur, but the change is regarding the sulfur that is decreasing by 7. And that will be a lot of, let's say, aspects regarding the production that we'll talk about. Regarding regional complexities, because we are talking about complexities, of course, there are some, let's say, regional with the ECA zone, also some changes coming also regarding what will happen also in China regarding the ECA zone. And this is, let's say, the regional complexities that you have to face with, to then use the correct fuel and then correct lubricants. Of course, non-compliance is not an option. There are, let's say, a lot of threats for the industry not to escape. So there are fine, detention, possible bans, loss of insurance, and loss of seaworthiness. So the challenges for the ship operators. Of course, let's summarize a bit, let's say, the challenges that you have. You have to run always safe operations, comply with regulations, of course. Control the OPEX. And this is why we are probably here also, is to imagine the OPEX and the increase, and we will see regarding the lubes and the fuel. And then, of course, you need, after this increase of the OPEX, to secure your revenue. So we see exactly that regarding the market, there will be a lot of complexity and uncertainties regarding this secureness of the revenues. And this is for the good health of the industry. So definitely, we have to, this is one of the biggest challenge. And of course, because we are talking about people, we are doing all our operations with people, so we need to keep our crew trained on the vessel, but also offshore. So a lot of complexity that, let's say it's a sort of summary of all the complexities. So that is something that regarding fuel, regarding the scrubber also. We are talking about different technologies of scrubbers, and probably something that will change in the coming years. There are the fuel and the crew training that we are talking. Question, of course, regarding fuel availability, and I think we were talking about that. Of course, when you are, let's say, using a scrubber and you have a huge, massive capex, of course, you want to be sure to use then your HFO where you are running your operations. So, of course, the fuel availability is something where it's an issue. And for the compliant fuel users, the main issue also that you will have is regarding the quality of the fuel. And there are different questions, and we'll talk about the different aspects to get, let's say, those fuel to you. There are different possibilities in terms of refining and blends. What about the quality? What about the behavior at cold temperature? So there are many, let's say, questions that makes, let's say, the coming life uncertain. And of course, we are talking about price, we are talking about OPEX or CAPEX, about revenues. So what is the spread also that you will find between the HFO and the VLSFO, or with the LNG? So we'll cover this aspect as well. And of course, everything is quite volatile. There are many aspects, regional, political, that makes, of course, that the solution or the aspect of one day is not the one of the future. So it makes finally your life very, let's say, complex, and we are fully, let's say, agreeing that we are not running an easy moment, and we are here with you to tackle this issue.
Robert Joule, he's the general manager of Total Blue Marine. Robert Joule was born in 1964. That's 5 years older than me. You look the same age.
Thank you.
He's a graduate of the Rotterdam University of Applied Sciences International Business School and began his career in 1986 at Mobile, followed by LCL, Credit Lyonnais. In 1989, he joined Total in the Netherlands, serving in various downstream positions. He became Director of Operations in 1998 and was appointed Retail Sales Director at Total Belgium in 2002. In 2005, he joined Total's Refining and Marketing Division in Paris, leading strategic marketing projects. In 2007, he returned to the Netherlands to take up the position of Retail's Network Director. He joined Total Deutschland in 2012 to head the Specialties Division, responsible for aviation, bitumen, LPG, lubricants, special fluids, and global partners business development. Since 2016, he is in charge of Total Lube Marine, a global business unit supplying pioneering marine lubricants and greases in over 100 countries and 1,000 ports around the world. Now, Robert's going to talk to us about Total's commitment to the shipping industry. Welcome in Dubai, Robert.
So, as said, I'm Robert Joule, and for more than responsible for Total Lube Marine, and for more than 30 years committed to Total. Now, I like commitment, and Total likes commitment too. And we are committed to better energy. And what does it mean, being committed to better energy? We will see that in the coming decades, the demand for energy will grow and will continue to grow drastically. And it is our ambition to supply the world with affordable, with reliable, and with clean energy. And for that, we need partners that are committed too. And the shipping industry is for us a key partner to realize that ambition. So therefore, I'm very happy to be here with you and to be able to exchange with you. So when I say Total is committed to better energy, it also comes with the ambition. And our ambition is to become the responsible energy major. Now, those are all nice words. It is a nice slogan, but is there something behind it? And I like the expression, put your money where your mouth is. And I think Total is well underway and puts really something behind this ambition. First of all, Total was the first and only energy major, oil and gas major, that integrated the IEA 2-degree scenario in its long-term strategy. To give you a few examples, We expect that in 2035, 20% of our energy production will come from renewables, which is huge. I mean, caloric value, you know, it is low, so 20% of our production from renewables is quite big. From the 80% that's left, 2/3 of that, of our production will come from gas, and the other third part that's then still left will come from conventional oil. This is the first example. Second example is that we stepped out of the coal business in 2016. So we're no longer running any coal operations. When we look at gas flaring, routine gas flaring, between 2010 and 2020, we will have reduced our routine gas flaring by 80%. And it will be 100% in 2030. So looking at our production is one thing, but you also, if you want to become a responsible energy manager, becoming committed to better energy, you also need to look at your consumption. And we have been working on that also. So in the last 10 years, we've been able to reduce our average consumption of our installations with, on average, 1% per year, which is also huge because our production has grown quite drastically in the last couple of years. When you look at the energy mix, I've already told you a bit about it, but we are now the number 2 in the LNG market. We strongly believe in the growth of LNG. We have now a 10% market share, but we will continue to grow. You may have seen in the press that we took over a big part in the US last week. We are now, discussions are on the way, negotiations are on the way to take over a part of Anadarko, which has also a lot of LNG assets, so we're really betting on that, on the energy for the future, growing rapidly on that. We're also investing a lot in the supply, in the production and the supply of low carbon electricity. So like with a company like Direct Energie in France, for instance, but also in solar. You may know SunPower, you may not know SunPower, but SunPower is an American-based company in which we have a major stake, and it is the number 2 in solar worldwide, so we're quite a big player in that as well. And recently we've become more interested also in wind energy, so we're through Total Eren, another company we took over, we are now investing in wind energy and producing low carbon electricity. Well, if you produce energy through solar, if you produce energy through wind, that's all very nice, but you don't need that always at the time when you produce it. So we think it is very important that we also invest in the storage of energy. So we took over in 2016 a big French company called Sulphur, battery producer. And you may have seen also in the press that in April we created a new joint venture in China, really working on to boost the storage capacity, but also to boost the e-mobility. And last but not least, biofuels. It's still a small part, but nevertheless we play an important role in it. We are developing that, and we are in Europe a major producer and supplier of biofuel. So, but it doesn't stop there. So, as said, we are committed to better energy, but we're also committed to the shipping industry. Serge already said it, we're not only a customer, we're also a supplier, we're also an owner. But when we first look at the supplier, we can see that we're active in different kind of activities. So for the bunker fuels, we supply quality bunker fuels all over the world, in all big major hubs around the world. And Frederic Vassoler, who is here, we will come back on that a bit later. Through Total Marine, we have a full range of marine lubricants, greases, but also services to optimize your performance, and we supply them, we already said it in fact, in more than 100 countries and in more than 1,000 ports around the world. I spoke a bit about SAFT already. SAFT is also active in the marine business. So SAFT supplies turnkey battery systems and services to the marine industry. For example, here with the Polar Research Vessel Sir David Attenborough, but also to the cruise industry, for instance. And as we said already, we believe in the LNG, so we supply LNG through a shipping fleet all over the world to a growing number of customers. So not only a customer, but we're not only a supplier, but we're also a customer. So we charter a big fleet of vessels on a time charter basis, but also on a spot basis, oil tankers, petrochemical tankers, LNG tankers for offshore operations. Well, you may have already negotiated with Total, can sometimes be very nice, sometimes a bit less nice, but nevertheless we all can always have an agreement. But it's something to show that we are also part, that we know your business, we are in fact in the same boat as you are. But it doesn't stop there. So as said, we are ship owners too. So since we took over the gas activity of Engie last year, no, it was 2 years ago, we are ship owners now, and we have 18 methane tankers, and we supply also the LNG with that. We also said that we are very active in the LNG, so we invest a lot of money in the building the infrastructure and the supply of LNG. And I think you have all seen and read in the press the strategic partnership we have with CNA CGM in order to boost this activity. Another big project in LNG where we are very active is the Yamal project. It is a $29 billion project. We have a big stake in that. And we are very proud that the first ARC-7 LNG tanker, you can see it here on the picture, was named after our former CEO, who was a driving force behind the project. It's Christophe de Margerie. He unfortunately died tragically in a plane accident in 2014. But as I said, we are very proud that he lives further through the ship that was named, the vessel that was named after him. And last but not least, is investing in our business relationship. So we're here together with you, and I'm very happy that you are here, so with a big number of people, to exchange, to discuss with you, and in fact that is what it's all about, to prepare for the future. It is the 11th session, so we have been in the last session. So we've been in Athens, we've been in London, we've been in Hamburg, we've been in Rotterdam, in Copenhagen, New York, Singapore, Hong Kong, Busan, Nice 2 days ago, and now here. And we have a lot of interactivity, and it's for us very important to meet you, to understand your needs, and for us to express ourselves and to think and to exchange on what we can do for you. So very happy to be here with you, and I also look forward to the rest of the program, an interactive session, and I hope you can really sense and appreciate our commitment to better energy, our commitment to the shipping industry, and I look forward to the rest of the program and discussing with you later on. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Frederic Bazolet. He is the Global Sales and Development Director for Total Marine Fuel Global Solutions. Frederic has been the Global Sales and Development Director of Total Marine Fuel Global Solutions since 2009 and President of the French Maritime Cluster for Singapore as a volunteer. I like these volunteers.
Thank you.
Holding a master's degree in management and economics, IAE Poitiers, University, France. Frederic has more than 20 years of experience in energy and international business. This includes 14 years of experience in liquid petroleum gas trading, transport and storage management, supply, shipping and risk management, as well as 9 years of experience in the bunker industry, sales and trading. Fredric's going to tell us about 0.5% fuels, 3.5% fuels, and LNG. Bienvenue à IMarEST UAE Branch.
Thank you very much. Salam alaikum, Dubai. Very happy, glad to be there as well. The last forum today, the 11th forum, as Robert said. Plenty of discussion with you guys, plenty of discussion with shipping companies, from maritime stakeholders, traders, majors. So it's very interesting to share and to debate today. I try to explain you where the fuel is coming from today. I guess you know that tomorrow from 5% sulfur, 3.5 LNG as well. And we can as well discuss what kind of price you can issue, what is for you the sustainable choice just to permit you to run your company on a long run. So let's move to refining. It's quite easy today. 14% of the barrel is for shipping and maritime industry, and a part of this 42%, which is distillate gas oil, it's as well for shipping industry. Today, the part of 3.5% sulfur is 180 million tons on 250, 60 depends. You are running your ship very slow compared to 10 years before when I was arriving. Now, hyper slow steaming reduces a lot of consumption, but we have some assumption for next year and the year after 260, 265 million tons as marine fuel should be burned by ships. You have to understand, commercial ships in the world are roughly 100,000 ships, 100,000 units. So what is arriving IMO 2020 is impacting not only shipping industry, it's impacting oil and gas industry and the worldwide growth. Everyone should be impacted because price will impact everyone. So what we're doing? Today, crude oil is the mother of the product, not gas, but for petroleum product. All the fuel oil arriving on the refinery, either on a catalytic cracker or distillation unit, and you are producing the ready fuel and distillates. But all the fuel we are producing mainly today is blended. So tomorrow, we can explain 0.5% sulfur, should be blended as well. Only 4 million tons of 0.5 will be produced on a structural basis. So tomorrow, it's why I'm insisting now, we can discuss after compatibility, stability, but tomorrow we have to face a blended product, as today. So, as I told you, since 2010, we changed a little bit the consumption, but roughly the last 10 years, we play on the same range. What can happen in 2020? 2020 depends the scrubber ratio equipment. Today we are thinking about 1,700 ships should be equipped by 2020, which is roughly 25 million tons. As I told you, from 2015 to today, it's 180 million, tomorrow 25 million. So if some of you guys are running from 2020 scrubber, you have to think about how to be very well supplied, how to be sure if I invest in a scrubber on my ships, I will be sure to find this product on the port I'm frequenting today, the port I'm calling today. Because if you install a scrubber and you don't have such product load to burn and to buy, do not make sense. Because today a scrubber is for, let's say, cap, a dry bulk tanker, 1.5 to 3 million tons, $2 million to install, and it's quite fast. For a liner, it fell down very sharply. The price was $10 million. Even 1 year before, it's between $6–7 million to equip. And with the price we have in mind, it's 1.5, 2 euros just to pay, and after you can run this 3.5% sulfur. But you have to understand as well, you have to be sure that your supplier today will continue to produce this one. Because the sense of the story is the world is going to produce low sulfur material, low sulfur fuel oil for ships and for the rest of industry. As well, utilities they are desulfuring a lot. Power generation, they are burning between, let's say, 1 to 2%, and marine is going to burn 0.5% sulfur. So the story is running. So a lot of people are thinking that burn 3.5% sulfur should be a kind of 5–6 years time, and after the sense of the story is to burn 0.5 and less than that. For the rest of the mix, what we don't know is, okay, I told you 25 million tons, the rest is 0.5%, but is it very low sulfur fuel oil, 0.5, or distillates, meaning gas oil, or 0.5 gas oil? For this one, we don't know exactly. Will depend what majors, what petrol majors want to do, what big traders want to do as well. They're gonna burn, they're gonna blend, I don't know. but we know exactly what Total wants to do. The other one, for time being, as the market of distillate has its own community market and own life, for time being, the story of the copy is quite hidden. So, uncertainty about the real mix of 0.5% sulfur, even today, for the next coming 6 months. The rest is, the blue part is LNG. We made some assumption, 10 million tons LNG should be burned as marine fuel from 2030. The time being, because you ship owner, ship operator, pool of ship manager, investor, fund as well, you are concerned to enter very well in 2020, finding this compliant fuel. I discovered that the LNG for time being is a little bit postponed, but we are still working on it. Very low sulfur specification. Total, we are quite active on very low sulfur specification. We are members of ISO group, and we have a kind of meeting every 6 months. I'm not sure, even we are saying that they can publish autumn 2019 specification. What is the problem today? The problem today is to run a compliant fuel. And the compliant fuel asks you to burn 0.5% sulfur, not a new fuel. In 2015, when we switched for a carrier from 3.5 to 0.1% sulfur, you are following the rule and you are burning LNG 380 centistock, 0.1% sulfur. No one was asking about aromatics inside, phenol, some other component coming from petchem, another cutter. Tomorrow is the same. So, okay, let's go for another specification. But what IMO is asking today is 0.5% sulfur. It's why you can find so many different blends and so many different recipes. But what is important, and for Port Authority as well, because I work a lot in Singapore, in the Singapore Shipping Association and MPA, and they told me many times, Frederick, what we're gonna survey and ask to ship owner, it's only sulfur. Okay? So, as refiner, Total, we are refiner, we are E&P, okay, exploration, production, refiner, trader, retailer, and we know exactly what is very low sulfur fuel oil, because we are marketing cargo 1% since a long time for utilities and for so many different utilization in the world. So we know the blend matrix, we know exactly what to do. We made some real tests on labs, and we work a lot on viscosity and pour point issue. Because for you, my point of view is for a ship owner, what is important is how to get a nice viscosity, to use a nice lubricant, how to be sure that the stability is there and should be sustainable for, let's say, 80 days for liner, when the liner is leaving Rotterdam, going to Shanghai, back to Rotterdam as well. What is the behavior of the fuel? Its stability as well. What I'm going to do, what I'm going to blend as additive, just to keep this stability alive and good for the length of the voyage. As well, I don't know, I just want a small survey. Who is working for liner company in that room? You can raise your hand. No liner company? Okay, well, tanker company. Don't be so shy. It's the last one, guys. Bulk, dry, general cargo. Okay. Who is working in, let's say now, in the trucking business? Means you are shipping operator, pool operator, you charter your vessel for one voyage, and after you have to manage your fuel. Okay, rest on board. Okay, fine. Okay, thank you. So, if you don't care about the core property of the product and your vessel is running summer water, winter water, you have to be careful of the property of the product, because crystallization point has to be as well monitored. And for the success for 2020 is just to monitor the fuel. After the price is an issue as well, that you have to monitor the fuel on board. And you have to do exactly what you do today. You don't have to mix two products coming from two different origins. If someone tell you, I have a magic recipe, and I can ensure that my fuel is compatible with another one, we are talking about fuel, not distillate and lighter. We are talking about fuel. Today, you are not mixing fuel from a supplier to another. I'm right. You have different tank on board, you have your daily tank, and you segregate on board. Tomorrow, it has to be the same. So, okay, we notice that we are a pioneer, but I'm not sure to be a pioneer. What is true that in 2018 we made the first try from Erie to Asia. As I told you, was an 82 days voyage on a big ship, which was a container line, 82 days, and we load 2,000 tons of very low sulfur fuel oil and 4,000 tons of high sulfur fuel oil, 730 tons. We asked the customer to keep it on board and to leave Rotterdam, to reach Shanghai, and to use it from Malta. Malta on the way back to Rotterdam. And we were very happy to see that the product keep a very good stability, homogeneity, and the chief engineer told to my guys, my trader, who work in Geneva, if from 2020 you can ensure this kind of product, I'm buying 2 million tons today. So it means we have a kind of good recipe. It's a kind of straight from 1% plus something of distillate and marine gasoil base, and it works very well. And the sulfur was controlled at 0.49 for 0.48, but at the end we have a very good feedback. And it was producing a very few quantity of sludge. What is very important with this new fuel today, low sludge compared to today. You can find as well some different viscosity. What we propose and we test were between 150 and 250 centistock. But I know that some players, some majors are launching on the market, some 380, some 500 centistock as well, from 5% sulfur. As I told you, there is so many different ways to produce this fuel, because the only constraint is sulfur. Don't forget it's sulfur. So you can find so many different recipes on the market. Price now. The demand, as I told you, and we can discuss later on scrubber, the demand upon 5% sulfur should be massive. But issue is, do we have enough low sulfur products to blend? I'm not sure. What I'm predicting from Q4 this year and Q1, Q2 next year is a big demand of gasoil. This gasoil should be 0.5%, 0.1%. There is plenty of gasoil in Asia, and you may have so different price and areas. Let's say today you have a lot of refineries who were installed or converted from 2016 to 2020. Let's say 2021 should be finished in Asia. So for me, the recipe of 0.5% in Asia should be maximum distillate base. Means distillate price. There's plenty of gasoil in South Korea, plenty of gasoil and distillate in China and Asian countries. Don't forget, China banned gasoil from the big cities. It was Beijing, Shanghai, and maybe some other cities will follow. And South Korea has plenty of gasoil. A lot of refineries in Asia, they kill fuel. They are importing fuel. It's a CIS country and fuel. So they are producing and exporting gasoil. So if you are concerned by loading your product in Singapore, for me, my view is, let's say, gasoil based. If you are loading your product, calling European ports, should be more on fuel oil based, because a lot of refinery, mature refinery, less conversion system. Okay? For Middle East, I was in Fujairah, the Fushcom, it was the end of March, And I was very surprised that, okay, Fujairah is losing volume, and Fujairah is quite ingenious, and we heard about some flashing crude oil, and you know, flashing crude oil, desulfurization crude oil. Should be another solution. Uniper is working on it, Total as well, we are discussing. So we are looking after some position in the area. But for me, hubs of bunkering, natural bunkering, could change as well, and the volume as well. Because if you are not so much involved in liners, okay, liners they have to be bunkered during operation, so they have no choice. And if they don't find fuel oil as 0.5 or 3.5, if they're scrubber, they have no choice, they have to take gas oil. You may select the area, you can change your habit to it. In terms of price, what we are thinking is the price of the gas oil, and it's very strange because today is not priced on the market. I don't know if you are reading last week or the week before some article on Platts and Argus, some newspaper, specialized newspaper on distillates. But it's very funny and amazing because IMO is the price of the gas oil today. Why? Because for Asia the surplus of gas oil is what the market is in backwardation today. But I guess from September and October, the trend could change, and we may see the peak on the gas oil price. As well, the high sulfur fuel oil may go down sharply. Today, the spread between today and Jan is $70 per ton. It should be less than that. How to manage the price? So Total, as I told you, we are trading, and in trading we have a risk management desk. And risk management desk, we have the ability to manage the physical and the derivative price. How to make this kind of mayonnaise in order to give you a design price, a design structure price, in order to fix your OPEX cost. Because today, let's say, I guess it's 40% of your OPEX is bunker. Tomorrow, if the price of gas oil is quite high, crude oil, we never know, but everything is related to crude oil. But if the crude oil is $80 to $100 per barrel, gas oil should be $900 per ton. So if you are considering a price of very low sulfur fuel oil that we are hearing on the market today, highest gas oil minus, let's say, 60 to 80, 40 to 50, you can imagine that very low sulfur fuel oil should be between 750 and 850 if the crude oil is per barrel is $80 to $100 per ton. You have to keep in mind that you should have this kind of price. After, I don't know if you can pass the bunker adjustment factor to your customer, but it's why the big liner wants to do it. Bunker adjustment factor just to permit the company to still run it. So just to close this slide, in total we have all the expertise and all the offices, even in Dubai, Total Trading Dubai, Singapore, Geneva, and Houston, we can manage, we can design price for you. Okay. Where Total Marine Fuel today, I didn't tell you, but we are dealing 7.5 million ton bunker in the world, and mainly in Singapore and Europe area, which is Amsterdam, Rotterdam, Antwerp, France, and Germany. We are pretty good as well in Korea, South Korea. This is why we know very well all the majors. Africa is quite difficult because Africa is kind of niche market for us. We have many different affiliates in Africa with seaborne storages. And for me, 2020, IMO 2020, the future of Africa bunker is mainly gas oil. Should be gas oil, definitely. Why? Because except if you are working on offshore business, but as well, to keep this 0.5% sulfur floating offshore, 200 miles from the shore, on small barges, maybe another ship, and to keep this stability, I'm not sure it can run. But for me, all the affiliates should be all the majors and the traders, which are importing product for power generation, utilities, and network. There are not enough storages to segregate. The main issue for logistics, how to segregate so different range of products. It's the same product, it's the same problem we may have on board of the ship. Okay. This one is important because we already discussed what is important is this carriage line. As I told you, I'm working as well with Singapore Shipping Association and MPA Singapore, and we had a meeting 2 weeks before, and we have a debate on this one. What's the point for you guys to still carry on 3.5% sulfur after the 31st of December if you cannot burn it? I don't know if you're aware, but if you carry this one, you have to declare to the port that you are carrying this 3.5% sulfur. After the 1st of March, you have to debunker. And you have to debunker at which price? 0. Rubbish. Today, if you debunker in a port where you didn't bunker for fiscal reason, because bunker is bonded product, normally you have to sell it at 0. Except if you have storages and you have bunker license, in the port you can debunker. But you have to be careful, today there is no such facilities for debunkering. So I encourage you to stop burning. If your plan is to burn 0.5% sulfur, I encourage you to stop burning 3.5% in November this year. Otherwise, if you have to debunker, should be messy. As well, what IMO said, if you are not able to find a compliant product, okay, you have to buy this 3.5% sulfur. But you have to send a kind of report to the port you are calling, just to announce you are carrying this 3.5% sulfur on board, and you have to arrange all the facility for debunkering your vessel. If the calculation of your chief engineer is not good, and the rest on board is quite, let's say, 100 to 1,000 tons. A vessel, you can easily bunker a vessel. You debunker a vessel at 40 cubic meter per hour. I'm bunkering a vessel at 500 tons per hour. You can imagine the time your vessel should be immobilized in the port. So this point is very important. As well, I don't know which solution you choose for cleaning your tank, because as well, IMO is imposing you to have clean tanks on board before Jan 2020. If you want to run 0.5, if you want to run gas oil to clean the tank, or to go on shipyard, or to use additives as well, just to clean the side of the tank to be ready, it's time now to take a decision. Exactly what I told you. International shipping chambers ask ship owner to prepare this kind of ship implementation plan. The ship implementation plan should be requested by all the ports, and Singapore will request it by port state control. Gas guy would come on board and ask you, do you have your ship implementation plan? Means you have to describe on this plan if you are not finding this compliant fuel where your vessel is doing operation and bunkering, where you're going to debunker. You have to put it on all the documentation. What is your plan? What is your segregation plan on board? What is your piping arrangement as well? Everything has to be described. And everything has to be synced before. And what the MPA said, if we are going on board and we are thinking that the guy is not serious, he didn't work very seriously just to be compliant, and he wait till the last minute, I guess it should be difficult for you. So, scrubber. What we are thinking, what I told you, that we discussed with shipyard, we had a survey, and we saw that roughly 1,700, 1,800 ships should be installed with a scrubber. Means roughly 25, 26, 27 million tons of 3.5% sulfur should be concerned by 2020 first Jan. So it's a big drop compared to 180 million tons we have today. So it's a big change. And as well, as supplier, I'm very concerned because I have to be sure if you have scrubber that your scrubber is well connected, because I'm supplying 3.5% sulfur. And I have to notice on the bunker delivery notes we need to modify our bunker level note just to say, guys, we check and we are sure that the scrubber is connected. If the scrubber is not connected and post that control cable board, the supplier as well is reliable and the shipper. So it's quite it's a partnership now. It's not a relation, the seller-buyer. Since the last 10 years, okay, we have this kind of relationship, seller-buyer, backlog for 50 cents, $1. But tomorrow it's more a partnership because it should be tricky for both parties. As well, what we are predicting today, let's say, shipping cost of the 3.5% on the normal bunker today, it's $5, $6, $7 per the port. Main hub, it's like that, batch. Sometimes it's 2.5, $3.3. Since March 2020 in Singapore, it doubled. Okay? So, if we are running less product, 3.5% in our ships, in our barge, the turnover is worse and worse, become worse and worse. And the price of the barging in that hub can be higher than today. So, you may have a double impact, but the impact of the barging is smaller compared to the impact of the price itself of the molecule. But you may have a double impact. A bad turnover of the barge indicated for 3.5% sulfur and the price of the molecule itself, which is following a commodity market and the daily market every day. As well, even I saw some RMK offer on 0.5% sulfur. I'm not sure that we can find and we can conserve all the different grades. Today you are buying mainly 180, 380 centistock LNG or 500 something. Some big VLCCs are running this kind of product, or liners they are running till 850, but tomorrow we may have a kind of LNG minus something. It should be 150, 200, 250 centistock maximum. Means for all the suppliers as well, we are very specialized on liners and big tankers and dry bulk. But tomorrow it's opening a lot of possibilities for all the suppliers because the viscosity is going down and the product should be the same for everyone. We are coming back 20 years. You know, before launching this kind of RMK, 15 and 20 years before, it was 180 centistock after 380 centistock. The market is changing and is going back to the past. LNG. LNG bunkering is quite interesting. The new solution. Well, this solution is quite nice. Pointer. It's quite nice because of what? 20% of CO2 less than the other energies. NOx minus 85, particulates means nothing, and sulfur nothing. The LNG as marine fuel is the most compliant solution we may have, but for the future, because today we have to build up all the structure. We have to build up the supply, we have to build up all the infrastructure, which means jetty terminals. You know, for time being, all the LNG terminals are receiving terminals. They are not fit for re-exporting products. You import LNG and you have a regas and you sell LCP gas. They are not fit for this kind of small scale. Today, it's 160,000 of LNG gas carrier, let's say. Tomorrow, we have to develop the small scale and the bunkering as well. We have to break bulk, we have to break those big vessels. But it could take time. But we are working on it and we are working very well. And we made some, exactly what I told you, 2025, 10 million tons, 2030, 20 million tons, but the ramping phase is quite slow, as a lot of people today are thinking about compliant fuel pump 5 and diesel, gasoil, sorry. But it's a solution for the future. The other book is not bad, but it's mainly for a small area, it's not a deep sea. And we had a deep sea, I will explain to you later on. What is important for LNG is that the molecule itself is quite cheap. and the market is plenty of LNG. And today, what is very interesting and amazing, if you go on the spot market, the TTF, which is MDP, marker for Europe, is traded at, let's say, 50% of the value on long term. Means there is plenty of LNG which is arriving on the spot market, on the trading market. Today, the trading market, the LNG market means trade on the sea is 250 million tons. On the coming 2 years, 100 million tons are arriving. So we need to find outlets, and maritime and bunkering, LNG bunkering is a good opportunity. So molecule itself, it's very cheap compared to diesel, gasol, marine gasol, or let's say very low sulfur fuel. Our intention, our target is to match gasol and very low sulfur fuel price. Is not to match this kind of 3.5% sulfur for vessel equipped by scrubber. Because we know and we said and we saw that 3.5% is not a solution for a long time. It should be 5, 6, 7 years. The time for scrubber to die. The main issue is capital expenditure. As I told you, let's say today a bunkering barge is $12 million to build up, 8 to 9 KT. You have to keep in mind for the same barge of LNG, it's $65 to $85 million. Depends technology you want to use. Type C or membrane. Okay? So it's kind of time. It's good. It's a good product. Sorry. Total, as Robert said, we are major in gas. We are number 2 in the world now. We made a lot of acquisition, and we have a big portfolio of terminals. So we have a kind of 40 million ton LNG to supply. So I guess we can easily answer to the marine industry, and what is very important that we are very well placed Asia, Europe, and US for sure. So what is missing today is what I told you, investment, but we're working on it. Dedicated jetty, dedicated terminal for developing this one. And as well, what is missing is partners. Partners is investors, and pool of operators and shipping, and ship owners for sure, just to step in. And who step in? CMA-CGM stepped in December 17, and we signed a 10 years contract, 3 million tons, let's say 300,000 tons a year, for supplying 9 vessels, 22,000 TEUs. But for this one, the obligation was to build a big barge. The barge is roughly 20,000 cubic meters. And we bet, because it's a bet. At the end, one of the companies pioneer, or 2 companies are pioneer, we had to bet, and we bet on just one filling. Rotterdam, round trip back to Rotterdam. But this engine are dual fuel. So in case of LNG shortfall, you can supply gasol, which is more secure. We have another solution, which is arriving, let's say, in 6 months. The first vessel should be ready. It's ISO container. ISO container is not bad. It's for small hull, short sea. You are taking this kind of small tankers, small cylinders, deep sea, like the TEUs, and you are transporting by trucks, and you are plugging those ISO containers to the ship when the ship arrives in the port. So what we are doing with Brittany Ferry, we have a plan to plug each time the vessel is calling Wistreham, which is the north of France, so the vessel is going Wistreham to UK, 3 ISO containers. And we are collecting the empty one. So 2 different solutions, big one and short and small one. What is missing is a kind of tankers and cape, but we are working on it with a lot of prospects. I can give you as well the detail of the barge. High maneuverability, equipped for bunkering and large container vessel, but not only large container vessel. The challenge today, as I told you, the price is huge compared to the conventional bunkering. It's to build up some barge, polyvalent barge, who can deliver container lines, cruise line, tankers, and dry bulk. Sorry. Where we want to be present at LNG, for sure in area, because we are in area. We start next year with TMA. Singapore, we signed an agreement with Pavilion Energy, which is a national kind of national company. We have some agreement in China. We are looking in Oman as well with Oman LNG Total. We have some plan in Mediterranean for sure because we have some plan with cruise ships. And as I told you, with a lot of acquisition Total made the last 2 years, we should be very strong in Caribbean island. And the first target for Total after this container, we are still working with container company, is for sure cruise line. Because as, I don't know if you remember, as I show you, that particulates, it's a headache for a cruise line. One, you have 3,000 people on the deck, and even the vessel is burning gas oil, or marine gas oil, there is particulate. With LNG, no particulate, no sulfur, and 20% less CO2. And it's why I told you this one is energy for the future, but it will take time. Thank you very much.
And our last speaker for the evening, before we get into the Q&A session, is Nikolaos Kotakis. And he's the OEM Relations Manager for Total Marine. Nikolaos started his career in shipbuilding, holding various positions in new building, repair and refit projects in Greece, Germany, and the USA. He joined Total in 2012 as Marine Lubrication Engineer for the Southeast Europe region, while since 2015 he is based in France, in charge of OEM relationships for Total Marine. Nikolaos holds a Bachelor of Engineering in Naval Architecture, an MSc in Marine Engineering Management, an MBA and Executive Masters in International Business. He is a member of the Royal Institute of Naval Architects, Certified Project Manager, and registered as a Chartered Engineer with the UK Engineering Council. The last one got the accolades. Finally, he is a visiting professor of shipping in the master's level of the University of Greenwich. And with those impressive credentials, I wish to welcome Nikolaos Kotakis to present lubrication challenges and solutions.
So yeah, I was thinking about it when I saw the IMarEST that I could come with both, let's say, my credentials, the one as a part of the Total family and the second one as part of the RINA family, the Royal Institution of Naval Architects. And in fact, you know, in many countries, the two branches, they cooperate and they have joint branches, RINA and IMarEST together. So when I graduated from the university, it was a bit of a decision which branch to join. And unfortunately, I joined the RINA branch, but I'm happy to see my cousins or let's say brothers here in the room. So I think that we had a very detailed introduction from a very detailed presentation from Frederick for the fuels. So we have seen the fuels, we have seen how to source the fuels, to produce it, how to bring it on board, and what kind of fuels will be available. So we have the 0.5, we have the 3.5, and we have the LNG. But as soon as we bring it on board, we bring it only for one reason. We bring it in order to burn it for our engines, for our internal combustion engines, and our boilers, but I think this is the easy part, in order to propulse our ship or produce power. And in order to do so, as I'm sure you know better than me as a naval architect, there are three main parameters in an engine. We have the fuel, we have the air, and we have the lubricant. I'm not here to talk about the air, I'm here to talk about the lubricant. So I would like to start with an overview on the engines, on the internal combustion engines. So what can we expect? We have two-stroke and four-stroke. Starting from the two-stroke, we see in the latest years new engine technologies from the OEMs, which reply to a request of the market. There is a market demand for new engines in order to make sure that the fuel consumption comes lower, because we know that the operators are always pushing for lower fuel consumption. And I think this makes sense both from a commercial point of view, but also from an environmental point of view. So we have engines that are designed to optimize fuel efficiency, but they are very sensitive to cold corrosion, and lately we see that they require a very good control of deposit formation. So you will hear, I will introduce this new term of cleanliness and detergency, and you will see that it is really important in the latest engine designs and the newest engine technologies, cleanliness of these fuels. And this is of these engines. And this is of course something that we can tackle with the lubricants. So for these engines, the recommendations today, they talk about the minimum BN level, and the OEMs set this BN at 40. So this is a product that exists through many years now, the BN 40. But we see that most probably a higher BN level might be required for demanding engines. The second part of the engines that we face, so I think that the part of the new technologies is something, let's say, more general group, in which we have some more specialized engines, which are the Tier 3 compliant engines. Tier 3 is a NOx standard. And in order to comply with the Tier 3 requirements of MARPOL 7378, we have to use post-combustion treatment systems. And these post-combustion treatment systems are either a sort of exhaust gas recirculating system, so we take about 30% of the gases and we throw it back again, we clean it, we scrub it, and we throw it back again to the combustion chamber, or we use catalysts. We have high pressure and low pressure catalysts. And then we have the dual fuel engines. We have LNG. And in LNG, we have two subgroups. We have the dual fuel engines of low gas pressure injection and high gas injection. As you know, these are two different cycles. I'm not getting too much into like academia. We have the Otto cycle and the diesel cycle here. But I will just summarize by saying that overall, the high gas pressure injection is the route that MAN, as an OEM, decided to follow over some years now. And the low gas pressure was chosen by WinGD. We see lately that MAN is now working towards the development of a low gas pressure dual fuel engine, which means that most probably in the near future, these two OEMs will converge to the low gas solution. And the reason is very obvious, because as you see in the high gas pressure injection, we need still a post-combustion treatment like an EGR, an exhaust gas recirculation, in order to achieve Tier 3. The engine is not Tier 3 ready just because it is a dual fuel engine. So, I told you at the very beginning, the engine cleanliness will be an issue, especially for the dual fuel engines. Especially because at these engines, the pressures, the Pmax in the combustion chamber has risen higher than any other engine before. We're talking about 180 bar and above. And we need the flexibility in the base number of the cylinder oil and the cylinder lubricating oil that we will be using. I would like to split this into two distinct periods. The one is 2019, is this year. What are we doing this year? What are the operators doing this year in order to prepare the vessels, the crew, and the pertaining environments, of course, suppliers, the whole supply chain, in order to address to this challenge, to the fuel challenge and the lubricant challenge. And then we have 2020, which is the beginning of the new era, before the next big milestone, which was mentioned before by David, which will be, of course, the CO2 emission. I think it was addressed by all of the speakers in one way or another. So this year we have the fuel switch. The operators, the ships will have to switch fuels. We know that the scrubbers are less, according to the figures that Frederic presented earlier, less than maybe 2% of the whole fleet. this means that there is a 98% that will go for a fuel switch. So we have to adapt our operation to these new fuel types. The tank cleaning and the management of our tanks and the segregation of the fuels will be important. And I would like to point something here, although this is more of a fuel comment, what I've seen from my experience on board, because I haven't written it down, but I sailed also on board as a third engineer just to gain more of the feeling and the experience of the onboard operations. We see that the crew on board, they tend to lower the fuel tanks in a homogeneous way. So we're sort of using all of our storage fuel tanks, or at least some crews that do this, instead of emptying one after the other the fuel tanks, the fuel storage tanks. And this has to change. So there is also a mindset that will need to be changed in order to address this new fuel reality. As far as the lubricant is concerned, the operators will have to select the fit-for-purpose solution. That's why I'm here. It's only 5 slides, so you will get the answer in a few minutes. But this is certainly one of the big question marks. What is the right cylinder oil to use? What is the right lubricating oil? Do I have the tanks on board to store it? So tank availability will be an issue. We've seen many vessels with only one storage tank, so this means that there will be some sort of mixing one way or another, inevitably. And since we talk about mixing, the question is, how do I manage this lubricating oil mixture project? With passing on now, after January 1st, 2020, we have switched fuels. So the problem will not be how to switch fuels, but how to handle the variability of fuels. We'll have different fuels. We need to accumulate experience in the onboard operations, because clearly nobody has experience with these new fuels today. We have some ideas, we have knowledge, but we have not reached the level of experience. And this fuel switch will continue, because, make no mistake, ICA zones are here, they will be there tomorrow, and most probably they will increase. We've already heard ideas and opinions about introducing new ICA areas. So the fuel switching from 0.5 to 0.1 will still continue to be an issue. And as far as the lubricants are concerned, let's say that this is a second degree issue. At least this is how we approach it. We see that the fuel, and I think that this will arise also from your questions at the Q&A session, the fuel is our imminent danger, or if you don't want to say danger, our first worry for our operations. As soon as the fuel situation comes back to normal, because one way or another it will come back to normal, wanting it or not. The second part that will need to be optimized is the lubricant. And in this case, we will have to introduce regular checks of the engine condition. We have to monitor the engine in the long term. And this is something that the OEMs require. It's not our proposal. It is us conforming to what the OEMs are currently suggesting and strongly advising. And we have to adapt and optimize the feeding rate, because as you will see, or as maybe you have seen already, in the latest service letters of MAN, the feeding rate has to go back to 1 gram per kilowatt hour. The feeding rate, which I remind you, the minimum one is 0.6. This brings an increase of the cylinder oil consumption of about 66%. Actually, it's exactly 66% increase. So there is a big impact on our operating expenses. There's a big change in our mindset on board, and all this we have to fight together. We have to anticipate the lube oil management, and we have to monitor the operational safety management. I will talk to you about these two aspects in the coming slides. So I will try to dig a little bit deeper into what can we propose, what do we have to offer in each of these three key conditions. So condition number one, compliant low sulfur fuels. With what you've seen before, this is what we consider as the option that, at least based on our current figures, the vast majority of the ship operators will opt for. So in this case, we're talking about a very low sulfur fuel oil. So you see, we keep adding initials. In the beginning it was FO, then it became HFO, then it became HSFO, now we have VLSFO or whatever. So it started becoming a bit tricky even to pronounce it. So the very low sulfur fuel oil, the VLSFO, is our 0.5%. And then the 0.1 is the ultra low sulfur fuel oil, as soon as we talk about fuel oils or marine gas oil, marine diesel oil, as you know. What we've seen so far is that our low BN products, they will become our flagship products. And this is not a commercial statement here, it is a technical statement. Because if I ask all of you, what is the first cylinder oil that comes to your mind? Most probably it would be the BN70. Because this is what we've trusted and what we've worked with for the last 20 years at least. And we see now that we'll have to sort of forget about the BN70 because the new trends in market, so the BN25 to BN60 maximum is the new norm. It will be the new norm as of 2020. So in this particular range of products, we have Telucia 40, which we consider will be the main product, and this is what most of you maybe have already expected or have had in mind before coming even to this forum. But I shared with you a key word when I started my presentation, and this key word was cleanliness. And the OEMs are not convinced that the BN40 is the solution that can fit all possible operating conditions. And this is why we see that maybe a bit higher, a product with a bit higher BN might be the right solution, the best product for the transition period, and possibly a premium product for the demanding engines. That's why we have decided at the same to keep in our product portfolio a very strong presence of Telucia Universal, which is a BN57. Now, we could enter into much more details why cleanliness is important, and I had discussions like this also with colleagues and friends and customers and operators. But the key message here is that there is not one solution that fits all. And if we have to accept the fact that there will be a mismatch between our BN grade and our fuel oil, our personal recommendation and suggestion as Total Marine is to opt for a bit higher BN in order to benefit from the extra safety margin that this product gives you. However, this doesn't mean that the BN40 will not be a product that for most cases, we cannot put a figure now, but for most of these cases, it should work just fine. And apart from the compliant fuels, we go to what you will allow me to say niche markets, at least for the time being, at least with the figures that we've seen so far. We have the scrubber element, so we have post-treatment scrubbers. So in this case, our HFO can move up to 3.5% sulfur. And in this case, we'll have to use a BN100. This case is very simple for those of you who have chosen this, because it doesn't change anything compared to what we do today. But since I'm talking to an audience which has a lot of engineers, I would like to dig a little bit deeper in this one, dig a little bit deeper, and tell you that today, the average sulfur content in our fuels worldwide is 2.4%. So you take fuels, you have taken fuels up to 3.49, sometimes 3.51, and you try to find a way to make it 3.49. But the average of all fuels that you can be supplying is 2.4 in the worldwide market. There is a hidden message to what Frederick said, that everything is blended. And when everything is blended, it means that the low part of this sulfur content will be now directed to create the new 0.5s. So since from a scatter, we take the low sulfur content fuels and we direct them to the 0.5, it means that what is left for the scrubber engines will rise. And the way that this affects you is that as the sulfur content rises, so do the sulfuric acids that are created in the combustion chamber, and possibly this would be linked also to an increase, a potential increase of the feeding rate in order to have more BN to fight for these acids. So even scrubber is not necessarily a recipe to lower operating expenses if we take into consideration the huge capital investment that we need to take initially for its installation and its certification, and the operating complexities that it also brings. Finally, the third option, I think, is very clear, and still, I think for the time being, we're talking about only a few vessels, is the low carbon option. It is the future, but for the time being, maybe a distant future for us. I'm sure that if I ask the question if there is anybody with a dual fuel two-stroke engine here, I might not even find one in this room. In a very big and important shipping community. And this is not because we're in Dubai. Wherever you ask, it is very hard to find today a two-stroke dual fuel engine, at least one with a big operating experience. We're talking about running hours of 15,000 or 20,000 tops. So we're talking about vessels which have an age of 2 or 3 years max. In this case of the low carbon option, we have two products that we consider that will be mainly used by the operators. The one is the Lucia 25, and this is the official recommendation of the OEMs in this particular case. But don't forget the key word that I shared with you at the very beginning of this presentation, cleanliness. The Lucia 25 and any other BN25 and solo BN cylinder oil in the market comes with a cost. And the toll that one has to pay in order to use a low BN is a potential degradation of the cleanliness properties in the engine. So, again, we see Lucia Universal, the BN57, as possibly the right balance between having a higher BN even on a dual fuel LNG powered engine. I don't know how many of you are aware of the fact that MAN, about 1 month ago, they issued a new service letter. A new service letter regarding the cylinder oils. The service letter is 2019-671 is the number of the service letter. WinGD sort of replied to this new service letter with their own, I think they call it the technical bulletin or service bulletin. Issue 3, so 2019 issue 3, named lubricants, is the respective service letter of WinGD. So we have the two big OEMs on two-stroke engines, which cover about 95% of the market. Make no mistake, there is nobody else. It's in fact these two. It is Mitsubishi, called today Japan Engine Corporation, but their engines are more resilient because they are still on mainly mechanical lubricators. So what they said is that the feeding rate will have to rise, as I told you before, from 0.6, which is the minimum, or 0.7 in some cases, to 1 gram per kilowatt hour for MEN, and to 0.9 grams per kilowatt hour for WinGD. And the only way that the operators can bring the feed rate back to the minimum setting that we all know today is monitoring. And not only visual monitoring, but also laboratory monitoring. In order to do so, we have to use used oil analysis, so drain oil analysis taken from the cylinder drain oil from this cavern. Some call it scrape down analysis, combined with data coming from the vessel, operating data like the load, like the temperatures, like the parts hours, how many the piston ring hours. And this brings us to the creation of 3 levels of services: the drain oil optimized, which is the premium service, the drain oil advanced, and the drain oil standard. I will not talk more about this, but I would like just to link, because you might hear that there are new drain oil services introduced in the market. I would just like for you to have the relationship between these new services and the service letters of the OEMs. It is not something different, it is not something that diverge. These two things, the service letters and the services offered by us, converge to the right monitoring of the engine. And I will close this presentation with 2 more slides about 4-stroke engines. The concept is the same. We have the regular engines, we have the dual fuel engines, and we have gas engines. So in the regular engines, there is no other way than adding a post-combustion system, and in this case it is a catalyst, it is an SCR, in order to comply with NOx. So Tier 3 engines come with SCR. The option of scrubber is, of course, valid, but in order for the scrubber to be installed on a 4-stroke engine, this means that most probably the operators of 2-stroke propulsed vessels, they have chosen this for their 2-stroke engines as well. Otherwise, it doesn't make much sense. It is less than 10% of the consumption of your main engine. So we see that scrubber technology is strong in the cruise industry, in passenger vessels, let's say in more coastal shipping activities. In the dual fuel engines, the key word that I told you before applies here as well: cleanliness. The engines are sensitive to deposits, and we need increased cleanliness. And finally, for the gas engines, we require particular lubricants. And there is a very technical reason behind this, and this is called abnormal combustion. A gas engine is an engine that it is ignited with a fuel-air mix inside the combustion chamber. So the lubricant, if the lubricant is not the appropriate one, it could provoke an early combustion, an abnormal combustion that leads to knocking. That's why we need particular lubricants for gas engines. So, again, back to a familiar pattern, where we are today, and what we have to face today, and what we will see as of 2020. So, we anticipate, we expect that in 2019 the transition period will bring the BN levels from 30 to 55, which are today, down to 15 or 20, because the operators will start preparing the vessels and their 4-stroke engines, either diesel generators or main engines, for the coming of the new fuel. But please remember what I told you before. If there is a mismatch between the fuel and the lubricant, both in 2-stroke and 4-stroke engines, we want this to be in favor of the lubricant, which means what? We do not switch the trunk piston engine oil or the cylinder oil before we have switched to compliant fuels. This is a key, let's say, sequence that everybody needs to respect. For 2020, we have given it a lot of thought, and we realized that we need to offer an extra flexibility. And the only way to offer extra flexibility, because the Zola and Aurelia that you see on the For those of you seeing at the other screens, there is unfortunately no mirror in there, so I have to describe it. To the bottom left part of your corner, you see the two products. The one is Disol and the other one is Aurelia TI. These are two different formulations, two different products. But you see that both of these products can be used with the 0.5%. And we don't want to have two different formulations mixed in any possible proportion within the same engine. That's why we decided to, in 2020, to launch a new trunk piston engine oil formulation, a common formulation for both Disol and Aurelia, so it's two commercial names, but it is the very same ingredients inside. And the split is more or less what we expected. We will have a BN15 and the BN20 for the compliant operations. We will continue offering a BN30, 40, and 50 for the HS high sulfur fuel oil. These four well-known initials for the operation up to 3.5%, and a dedicated product, Aurelia LNG, which is available in two different viscosity grades for, again, for particular operations that can cover this product, can cover all the LNG operations. So pure gas engines only. So that's all from me.
To give you a short wrap up of what you have all heard and what you have all seen. So I think you may have a lot of questions, so I said we'll make it short. So David started his presentation with a quote of Bud Dar. He did that in Hamburg at the Maritime Green Tech Forum. And Bud Dar is the Executive Vice President of Maritime Policy and Government Affairs of MSC, so he has a very long business card. And he said, so there has never been such a moment in the entire shipping industry. And I think after all the presentations that we've seen, that we all agree that he is right. There are a lot of big challenges, and I thank the speakers really for helping us to better understand it. The challenges are really big, but there's also good news, because you don't have to face those challenges alone. We can face them together. You have Total by your side. We are, as I've said, we are committed to better energy. We are also committed to the shipping industry. I think what is also very clear that unfortunately there is no single answer. For each and every one of you, the situation is different. So what you need is expertise, help, partner up. And we are ready to respond to your needs with individual, tailor-made solutions. You'll also see that we will be able to supply quality fuels in all major hubs all over the world. What you've seen on the map is what we already supply. This is what we can guarantee, but there will be more hubs to follow. We will continue to invest in LNG development. We think really that it is the fuel for the future, for the next decades to come. And of course, we will have all the fuels and greases available, but also servicing to help you to improve your performance. So we are ready to partner up with you to ensure your business continuity. And at least it is, and last but not least, I would say, this is what it's all about, is to improve your bottom line. So I'd like to finish up with that. We are ready for 2020. We are ready to engage. And we're also ready to be challenged on our commitments. So therefore, I really like to invite you now to come up with your questions. I hope we have, well, we will not have all the answers, but we'll have a lot of answers, and the others, the answers that satisfy you. So engage with Total, challenge us, and I would say, let's go full steam ahead for 2020. Thank you very much.
On stage, please. So while they do that, I mean, I was just we are in June 2019, and I was just thinking about the short-term June 2020. We will be 6 months into the period of compliant fuels. We will be in a period where there is going to be blended fuels being used without much of, in fact, without much of a quality control in terms of the ISO 8217, which is inappropriate for the new fuels coming into play. Well, they're going to, the 2017 version is going to be upgraded, but that's going to be in 2022, 2 years too late. On the other hand, you're going to have 2,500 ships with scrubbers end of this year, which are accounting for about 15% of the worldwide marine fuel consumption. We don't know how these scrubbers will perform. We are not sure on what the fuel availability is going to be. And all this in a transport industry which is transporting 90% of the world's goods. I mean, this is scary. Yeah? So I don't want to speak anymore. I'll leave you with this thought and open up the floor for questions for our esteemed panelists. So please shoot away. Raise your hand. We are going to have a...
Yes, we have a gentleman here for one question.
Gentlemen, thank you first of all for the great presentations. My name is Geert Wijnja. I'm the Technical Service Manager for Wärtsilä two-stroke. So we are also doing the services for VTD engines, as you know. I have a few questions and remarks. First, on most of the slides we've seen, or actually on all of the slides, we've seen still 3.5% sulfur fuel for those engines with abatement technology, with scrubbers. But I don't think this is the case, because we do not have a sulfur cap anymore next year for those engines with scrubbers. The 3.5% is gone next year. So fuels for engines with scrubbers, that may as well be higher than 3.5%. Do you agree on that? Or there is no legal or legislative limit anymore for those fuels. So we may as well see 4.5, maybe even 5% sulfur fuels for ships with scrubbers. Now this is important because now for a modern high-rated crosshead engine with high MEP 19, 20, 21 bar, these engines are indeed sensitive to corrosion because it's very difficult to keep the liners hot enough at these pressures at part load. So we still need very high BN sulfur, very high BN cylinder oils. That means currently 100 BN, but if the 3.5% limit is no longer there, we might definitely need 140 BN cylinder oils. So I just wanted to make that remark because it is important for the shareholders.
Thank you very much. I think our colleagues have some answers.
Yeah, okay. But really, you're right. But today, let's say, even we are speaking about 3.5% sulfur, the average in the world is between 2.8 to 2.6. So it's as well another example that it's in expression 3.5% sulfur. But you're right. We may find 4%, 4.5%. Then for majors point of view, the majority or total point of view, the majority of fuel we are selling on the market is less than 3.5% or 3.5% sulfur. For utilities we are selling, because I didn't mention that you guys, you are burning 45% of all the fuel produced in the world as mine fuel. The rest is for utilities, power generation, cracking, petrochemicals as well. But you're right, you may find some 5% sulfur, but I don't remember some refineries in the world who can produce more than 5% sulfur. I know in Singapore, there is one refinery is producing 4 to 4.2 to 4.5. Even today is importing some product from Europe for blending and just to narrow down the sulfur and the viscose as well. But you're right, after we may have an issue and sulfur, just unscrew as well how to run it, how to manage corrosion as well. So you're right. 3.5, it's a kind of lexicon you are using today, the word, generic word we are using today for just naming the fuel the shipping industry is burning. Right.
Thank you, maybe the lubricant perspective.
Yeah, just to continue, first of all, a little bit on the scrubbers, because it is something that affects us as well, and we have worked on it. It's true that there is no sulfur cap any longer, but there are two things that are very important also not to disregard. The first one is that the size of the scrubber is directly related to the sulfur content. So if we're talking about 4% or 5%, this geometrically increases the size of the scrubber. And it could, I know that Basla has also a part, you said you're in OGP, but Basla has also a part that works with scrubbers, but the size of the scrubber is an issue, especially for the retrofit. Especially since we have to put it at a high level that it will bring our center of gravity much higher. So I think that what we've seen so far, I can only share with you our experience also with our customers. Those customers who have opted for scrubbers, they have sized their scrubbers for a 3.5%. And the reason for that is that it starts to become too many unknown parameters that play into the decision on which scrubber shall I install. Now, for the lubricant part, it is maybe partly also my mistake in the presentation, in the slide, there was the BN100, but there was also the BN140. And clearly, all our products, I said that it's business as usual, and still today, it is a niche product, but we have vessels that need 140. So for us, it doesn't change anything. The way we offer 100, BN140 today, we will continue offering it in the future. However, I would like to point out that when we presented the 140 to WinGD, the first reaction was not was neutral, because the WinGD engines, they are not that corrosive, at least according to what WinGD representatives told us, that corrosive as MEN engines. The product is still there, approved by MEN and accepted by WinGD.
So maybe an additional statement, and after we take another question.
To be honest, I haven't seen 140 BMs in the roads with our customers here, which is mostly field CCs. So the Artiflex 82 and similar engines with indeed an MEP of 19. These engines are running very well on 100 BM. We have the corrosion under control to go out, but this is, we had difficulty behind us already a few years. But my point is, I think we have to be aware that we might see even higher sulfur fuels on the market next year. And for those engines, we have to be proactive, because we don't want to run in the same situation as we had 10 years ago when these high-rated engines came on the market and we had a huge corrosion problem.
Well noted, I think we're all in line with this.
So to make it clear, the 100, deputy 140 remains in the range. There's no plan to phase out this type of products. We have a question from the gentleman over there.
My name is Asit Parikal. I'm the Chief Technical Officer of SAS Shipping. So my question is that owners, those who have taken decision to install scrubber, two things came in our mind. One is of course the cost of the fuel, and another is the availability. Now question is that if I'm not talking about the market forces, only from the cost of production as refiners, low sulfur fuel definitely is much costlier to produce. So if high sulfur fuel is sort of less costly to produce, and second thing is that if there is reasonable demand in the market, so why scrubber installation cannot be considered as permanent?
Thank you very much.
Okay, and try to sum up. Today, as I told you, okay, I will start by the second question. what we are seeing in the world that more and more refineries they are upgrading. Refiners are upgrading their refinery to produce distillates. Because the demand of distillates should be higher in the next 10, 20 years. So it's time to convert refinery to instant coker to destroy fuel. What many or all the Asian countries make. So it's why I'm telling you what I explained to you at the beginning. If you install a scrubber, you have to be sure that the product is there. It's true that the product should be less expensive than the sulfur fuel, but today the reason why we are not producing, or we will not produce 3.5% sulfur is not because of a choice to not produce it. It's because of the shipping industry and the delay and the, I would say, the decision they took regarding scrubber installation on board. So if you are cutting by, I would say, seven times the demand of 3.5% sulfur, what's the point for a refiner to produce this kind of product? For me, it's quite. You have to consider the reverse of your question. I mean, we are starting from the shipping demand and we are producing for the customer. We are not pushing the customer to buy our product. So IMO is imposing 0.5% sulfur. Since many months, many years, all the refiners, all the traders, all the players, they are thinking of that way. And more traders are thinking on this date as well from Q4 this year and the next 2 years. They are completely, I would say, agree that marine gas oil should be a big part of the marine fuel in the coming 2 years. And after the market will normally stabilize. So regarding the price today of 3.5% sulfur, you have some assessment of the market. Today is $370 per ton, let's say in Rotterdam. Or 343, the crude oil dropped a lot yesterday, but today is up. But I guess expecting a price of fuel oil even from 2020 under $250 per ton, I'm not sure. Because on the other way, fuel oil has other outlets, which is utilities, power generation, and so on. And as well, a lot of companies, a lot of utilities are switching from coal to fuel. The step is to switch from coal to fuel and to fuel to gas. But as I told you, if we are putting 100 million tons of gas on the market, maybe it should be from coal to gas and scrapping the stage fuel oil. So, say that the picture is less 3.5% to the sulfur fuel, more 0.5 and more distillates. The sense of the story.
Thank you, Frederick. Yes, sir?
Good evening. I belong to a separator manufacturing company, the Australia separators. My question is very much relevant to the separator operation. When we are using the blended fuel, as per IMO recommendation, one of the alternative to get the dose of the fuel wise, we can blend the fuel. So in this case, do you have any step taken by the total regarding the clogging in case if you are using the blended fuel oil on board ship?
In case regarding your question, you asked me if I have some advice for you to using a new fuel. What do you mean? Today, if you are using good lubricants and if you are segregating this new fuel, I guess there is no issue. You have to work on the fuel management on board. You need to keep your tank very clean, and you need to segregate. And a lot of questions we receive since the last 3 months we are doing this kind of events. It's compatibility. What I encourage you is not mix product, even if 0.5% sulfur, from an origin to another, even from major to another, even from a major to a trader, because we don't know the recipe. As I told you, obligation is sulfur. ISO specs is not launched, should be launched next year, and even today we launch this ISO 8217, I'm selling in many parts of the world 8217 to 2005 or 2010. No one can insure to 2017 today. And mainly in the world you are finding in 2010. So it's not because ISO will launch these new specs that the world will supply these specs. So what I told you, I encourage you to segregate on board as you are doing today and not mixing tomorrow, because you are thinking 0.5 is lighter than 3.5 and visco should be 150 to 150 and it means that I can mix. No. You have to follow what you are doing today. It's my best advice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good presentation. You know, the world consumption is around about 90 million barrels a day. We want to know how much is the ratio between distillate and residue. Now with this present law coming on 2020, distillate ratio will increase. So know what to do with the excess residue oil which we are using for the ship, and how much percentage of the world shipping is using of the fuel.
Okay, the refinery in the world in 2015 to 2021, the plan they made is to have more than 4.5 million barrels a day as distillates or lighter. So if you are caring about availability, there is no such fear. Because as I told you, we may find so many different marine fuel from heavy to light, and they can be fit for purpose. After the problem of price and lubricant you may use. But normally, 4.5, 4.6 million barrels a day added mainly in Asia, which is sure, on a refinery, means 200 million tons. So I guess there is enough product, but as I told you as well, you cannot compare tomorrow where you are bunkering today. You may see some changes, some habits, some customer behavior, supply behavior may change. Singapore as well, they're asking me, Frederick, do you think tomorrow we can supply 50 million tons of bunker as we are doing today? No. Even Fujairah, you saw, Fujairah lost a lot of volume in the last 2 years. Rotterdam is losing volume. There is a kind of revitalization of bunkering offer, bunkering demand coming from 2020 and maybe from 2020 to 2022, the time the market will stabilize. So in terms of volume, yes. In terms of grade, I don't know, because so many different grades, in terms of location, it can change, it can be reshuffled every time during these 2 coming years.
Thanks, Frederick. Unfortunately, as time is flying, we take 3 last, four. Okay, we take 4 questions that have been registered, so please.
The gentleman sitting here was asking you about the purification. Now when you are using the 0.5% sulfur, you are going more towards the distillate fuel and more refined fuel. So do we still need any sort of purification? This is my first question. The second question is, you were talking about the scrap down or the drain oil analysis. When you are using 0.5% sulfur, which means that there will be lesser likelihood of coal corrosion. So the scrap down analysis for the laboratory will be the same frequency, or you will increase the frequency that, okay, like nowadays we are sending it every 3 months. When there are lesser likelihood of coal corrosion, so will still be the same frequency for the scrape down analysis? This is my second question. Thank you.
Thank you. I've got a request for the people asking questions and answering, please, making sure in order we can take the most that we can.
Yeah, okay, for purification, I guess nothing changed, and you have to continue. As I told you, the recipe we have today, compared to the recipe we may have tomorrow, numbers of components are entering in the recipient. So let's say today we may have 3, 4, tomorrow we may have a panel of 4 to 12 different components in a fuel. So let's keep what we are doing today for tomorrow. In terms of
for the drain oil analysis, cold corrosion, if you do not use high sulfur fuels, you will not have cold corrosion.
Yes.
Cold corrosion is something only related to acids, to high sulfur fuels. If you're not having high sulfur fuels, you have other things that are, let's say, important, like detergency, like cleanliness. Now, I will reply with the official recommendations, which say that you have to monitor your engine closely. You have to start with the monitoring every 2 to 4 weeks. 2 to 4 weeks in the beginning, and then move from monthly to bi-monthly to 2 months and so on, assuming that your results show that you can also, that everything is okay and you can lower the feed rate. But at the beginning, we forget, for the MN operator, we forget what ACC factor was. We're back to the concept of feeding rate, low feed rate, like it was 10 years ago, like it was with mechanical lubricators. We set the feed rate at 0.9 or 1 gram per kilowatt hour. Then we do drain oil analysis every 2 to 4 weeks. And based on these results, we reduce the feed rate back to the minimum.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm Lars Jorgensen. I'm the CEO of the Mining People Corp. Firstly, thank you very much for coming on and arranging this evening. I have more as both the questions and a very quick commentary. The whole discussion we're having on this evening is very sort of ship owner-based problems. I'm sorry, the attack is wrong. From start to it. This is an industry problem. The industry problem starts with, as we as ship owner is using fuel that's been realized by Total and other oil majors. For us to find out what oil majors we have to use aboard our ships, we need to know what the qualities of the fuel. So far there has been a reluctance, I'm not saying particularly on Total, but I'm saying for the generally of the industry, is to address exactly what quality fuels are. That led directly to that the oil engine makers, including Ganser and BMW engines and the rest of the engine makers, to be able to do testing of the fuel that's going to be used going forward. So we, as the client, as the ship owner sitting around this office, this room this evening, to be able to use more euros. To refer to Mr. Kotakis, many of the questions you're replying here, your answers are here, you may have this, you may have that, you may have this, and have lower the euros. In the way, the industry, who want to address the environmental issue, is being made as a ship owner's problem. I would like to apply to everybody in this room, including yourselves sitting with us tonight, you have to apply a different attitude. So, to finalize very quickly to the questions, what is the Total doing for lube oil sampling and fuel oil sampling? Because this could be the essence for a ship owner to find out the lube oil is coming aboard, or firstly deriving from the fuel that comes aboard. Thank you.
So for the lube oil sampling, first of all, I need to say just one sentence. If you want one solution, I have given you a solution. I have talked about the solution. It has to be higher BM. You have to go to a higher BM to make sure that at least one of the two problems are solved. But we cannot apply for all the engines because every engine is different. And I don't know what engines you have, but we've seen, for example, that small bore engines, they have different way of working than big bore engines. Electronic engines are different than the mechanical engines. Dual fuel engines are different than single fuel engines. So there's not one size fits all, and fortunately or unfortunately. But for the lubricants, things are straightforward. There is a solution that can fit you, that can suit all your operations, and with higher BM to be on the safe side if you are in doubt. And as far as the analysis are concerned, we have the services that we presented before, and we agree with the OEMs that monitoring is the key, and the analysis monitoring is the key in order to follow every 2 to 4 weeks. You start 2 weeks, you set high feed rate, analysis every 2 weeks, for 2 months, you have 4 sets of drain oil analysis, and based on the results, you move to 1 month frequency, and at some point it will come back to normal, which is quarterly usually. But there is a program, and the drain oil optimizer that was presented is a program exactly for these reasons, for engine monitoring.
Thank you, Susan. I suggest you can continue your conversation if you want. Just after the break, we take the very last question.
Good evening, sir. I'm Subir Kumar, I'm a user from Modern Navigation India Private Limited. My question is to Mr. Protective. As you mentioned about this man service letter 671, you are supposed to get a no objection letter for the 0.5% fuel. Did you receive that? This is number one question. Number two question is, as per the service letter, the man says that we can continue burning BN70 lube oil even with 0.5% fuel, unless we find something wrong like deposits on the different rings or scrape down analysis shows something else. Am I right, sir?
Yes, you are right. Now I start reversing. To the second question, you are right, but the service letter, the respective service letter of WinGP gives us a maximum BN 60. So 70 for the one OEM is okay, for the other OEM is a bit high. That's why we proposed the Lucifer Universal 57, because it covers both cases. MAN does not give a particular recommendation for either 40 or 70. They give a range. So what you said is true, but we have to know that this range, giving a range from the OEM, the only thing that it does is that it increases ambiguity. And we are here to solve this ambiguity. And we believe that there is a right solution there. As far as the no objection letters are concerned, all our products are approved. They have no objection letters, and we have asked MAN to renew their objection letters based on the latest service letter that they have issued. But this applies to all lubricant manufacturers. We're waiting for new no objection letters, updated no objection letters for our products.
Sorry, I just want to add a comment regarding the fuel, because the question you ask is something like, if I'm bunkering in New York, if I'm bunkering in Singapore or elsewhere, may I have the same recipe, may I have the same product. This means that if I'm sampling, if I'm making an analysis to see if my product is fit for purpose or compliance in Europe, I may have the same in Singapore. No, definitely not. As I told you, the product will be compliant, but the chromatography of the product shouldn't be the same, because what we're gonna supply on the market should be 1, 2, or 3 different recipes, depends the origin of the component. The fuel oil today is a commodity, the gas oil is a commodity. So all the majors, the traders, the blenders, they are buying on the market some component, and they put them together just to get the recipe. It's why if today the recipe is fit for purpose, tomorrow shouldn't be fit for purpose except for the sulfur. But we have to supply a product compliant, we will supply a compliant product. But if you ask me a minimum chromato of all the components, and on a worldwide basis, it's impossible, and no one can do it.
Thanks, Greg. Before the closing word, the second last question, but this is the very last.
Good evening, gentlemen. There is no question, so relax. I wanted to compliment you. All of you are really rock star. The presentation you have made is superb, and such a difficult subject you have made it so easy. If there is any question, I will ask Mr. Nicholas. If there is any question, I will ask Nicholas at the dining table, and it will be very, very simple as such. The most beautiful thing which I noticed was Total has given a slogan, steam ahead, full steam ahead. And I come from the steamship background and I come from the diesel ship background, but there are no more steamships these days. So somebody should change it. Go ahead. So, well, go full ahead. And my compliments to all of you once again for making such a wonderful thing. And I will request the audience to give you a clap.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I would like to take this very last question. Thank you very much.
We got informal questions we have time.
So, right,
You said one more?
I just would like to say also that we were delighted to partner with IMarEST for this event tonight. Thank you very much for this partnership. And as I said, yes,